Well, we're really excited about today. We're so thrilled you're here. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. We showed you that little clip for what the plan is, the Worship Central course. But we wanted just to kind of tell you a bit. Tim's going to tell you about the vision, and I'm going to tell you a bit about the story so far, what's been happening with Worship Central. And for us, the course is kind of the big thing we've been dreaming about, planning about, and we were really excited to share it with you guys today. We're going to tell you how it's come about and what the plan is. So, vision for Worship Central. What's the vision?
Well, the vision always has been, and hopefully always will be. It's about seeing a movement of worshippers from around the world with a vision to encounter God, equip the worshipper, and empower the local church. That we want to be a people that are about His presence. We've been talking about this a lot so far, that we want to be so fired up, just caught up with who God is. You know, people of encounter who know Jesus, who are inspired by that. But also we want to be practically trained as worshippers, as musicians. We want to be equipped, and always our heart is to serve and invest and bless the local church. So that's what we've been doing. We've been running since, when did we start? 2005?
We sat in the basement office here, the two of us, 2005, and started drawing on the walls, kind of like, you know, how we were going to think this thing through. And, you know, you've been involved in Passion for Your Name. I've been at HB for a few years, and all of us will know there's a massive need for training. So we were thinking, putting our heads together, how could we start to get people together to train each other? Yeah. And so 2006, I think, was our first event.
We had our first, and it was here. And we kind of thought, you know, maybe 50 people, 100 people would turn up. And there was about 600 people. And
who was here for the first event?
Was anyone?
Amazing. Great. Oh, a few of you. Fantastic.
The same people who went over to Queensgate, HTB, they're committed. And it's just really exciting, the obvious need people had for resourcing, but also the real sense that people wanted to feel connected. They want to build relationships. So we started putting on events, and since then we've been doing events all over the world, and it's been really encouraging to see people connect with that. But also we've realized that an event, a training weekend, evening, however amazing and important they are in terms of fueling vision and encouraging and connecting, there's a limit to how much you can really achieve. And so we knew there needed to be more. So, you know, with website, online resources, you know, blogs, podcasts, the Worship Central iPhone app, we've really tried to use the web as a way of resourcing people. Again, because that instantly has an impact all over the world. And it's encouraging to hear how people are connecting with it. For example, the Songwriting Lab. What's it called again? The Songwriting Forum. Clinic. Songwriting Clinic, with the website, you know, over 1,000 songs have been uploaded that people can critique and give their thoughts about, and the forums, amazing discussions on, you know, from really nitty-gritty practical things to sort of big, deep, profound theological questions. You know, able to have those kind of connections has been really, really important. And more recently, the albums, you know, and the songs, just trying to resource people. But for now, we feel the Worship Central course, for us, is a really key part, if not the key part, of this vision to sort of resource many, many people, the multitudes. So that's why we're really excited about it.
And Worship Central is really, it's not a team, it's not a band, it's not a conference, we're all part of this. You know, one of the things that was kind of nuts when Spirit Breakout started to creep up the iTunes charts, which none of us expected, was we were getting these messages from people tweeting saying, we're at number 9 in the iTunes charts, or, you know, we can't believe it. You know, we're all part of making Worship Central. We think of this very much as not about us. You know, we would love Worship Central to be something that's running all over the world, all over the place. No one knows who's sort of, you know, who it is. It's kind of everybody, you know, Spartacus, when everyone says, I am Spartacus. You know, we want Worship Central to be like that. We're all part of Worship Central. And, you know, we've got 20,000 worship leaders now linked in on an online network on our website. There are 100,000 people who've attended our training events in the last 4 years around the world. It's just kind of kicking off. And we're developing a thing called a network where in different parts of the world, like in Hong Kong, for example, Tom Reed, who heads up Worship Central there, gathers all the worship pastors from Hong Kong together, all the different churches, and they meet together under the kind of banner of Worship Central, just to encourage one another. They worship together kind of privately. They encourage sharing songs, that kind of thing. And that's happening now right across the UK. So there are lots of people, Worship Central advisors up and down the UK, Wales, North Wales, South Wales, Southampton, Coventry, I mean literally all around, Leeds, all around the UK, and Scotland, Northern Ireland. Brighton, yeah. Thank you, Tim. And we feel really excited about this sort of sense of momentum that's building.
Yeah, and for us, we see this course and this training and the resourcing really happening in the local church. You know, we've, as we've sort of said, we've travelled, we've met with amazing theologians and worship leaders and just fantastic people to sort of help sharpen our thinking. But just the more we think about it, realize that actually to really see transformation of the local church, to see the worshiping life of a local community thrive, to see amazing leaders being raised up, to see fantastic teams, to see a real culture of worship and service, then actually the training needs to be taken to the heart of the local church, for everyone to really grapple, to thrash out what is it that we're passionate about, what is it we're trying to do. These sessions we're going to look at, you know, how do they impact us? Then actually it's not just this kind of big idea out there, but it's actually something that's really rooted in a local church, because that's when the impact will really start to happen. So as you've probably picked up, there's a real passion to really connect and to engage the local church.
So the plan for the next 50 minutes is we're going to kind of share and run through how the Worship Central course is built and what it is and how it works. Now, we are literally doing this for the first time. We finished the course kind of 2 days ago, kind of finally dotted, and there's probably loads of spelling mistakes or whatever, but we're literally, it's released this weekend, it's out on the website now, you can register, you can start running the course tomorrow if you wanted, it's all up there. But we are in a complete training stage. You know, we've never taught about the course before, and over the next year we're going to be piloting how we kind of spread it around the world, and we'd love your help. So questions, anything you think we're missing, anything that's unclear, please just feed them back. We've got a mic that's going to go around. We'd love to help look at them today, and the hope is you know, with your help we'll sharpen it and get it right. So really, the course, as we've said, is the big idea. It's everything we've been working on for the last 5 years. You know, it's kind of taking everything we've learned, the conversations, the training that's been happening, all the teaching from the events, and also lots of stuff from you guys, thoughts on the website, you know, emails you've sent in about the challenges in your local church, talking to real people who are doing it. And what we've tried to do is kind of put it all together in a way that anybody can run anywhere in any local church. The sort of big things that we all agree on are really, really important. So how does it work?
Well, it's a 7-session training course, and as Al said, we've tried to keep it really simple and accessible, but really it's designed around exploring the big practical and theological questions around leading worship in the 21st century, and it's made up of 7 units, and we're going to quickly go through those. I don't know if there's any notes.
Andrew, can you stand up? Andrew is a legend. Can everyone just give Andrew a massive...
Not that way. It's like the real wave.
Yeah. He's a beautiful man. He is going to be kind of working just behind us to show us how it all works.
So if you go to the website, that's what you'll see, and you'll be able to click on all the stuff. But thank you, Andy, with your little hand there. So just to go through the sessions, the first session is called Why is Worship Central? Can we pull up the notes? Is that
so
possible?
if you click on the notes there, yeah, that's it, great.
That's it, click on it. There we go.
Great.
So this session, and just some people are saying, is this about Worship Central? No, it's Why is Worship Central? So see what we've done there.
See what we did there? It's cool, isn't it?
Very good.
So these are the delegate notes. So your guests would get this. It's a PDF.
So, what would happen is the idea is for each evening you gather together. You might find it helpful to have a bit of food, bit of hanging out, and then someone would give a talk. We've tried to keep these talks about 25 minutes, and so the person who's delivering the talk might sort of print off the transcript that they could preach the talk from, and we'll talk about all of this stuff in a second. And then each delegate would have this page, which is the notes. So this is really to walk through what this session would involve. It's the 3 questions that we want to look at. Firstly, that worship is our purpose. You know, before we start talking about the practicalities, lots of people are kind of thinking, well, what is worship and why do we worship? Why is it such a big deal? But it's our purpose. It's the thing we're called to do. We're created to be a worshiping people, and it's all based around Psalm 100. So that's the first point. It's our purpose. Secondly, it's our priority. It's looking at the story of Mary and Martha, the importance of giving ourselves to worshiping Jesus and what that looks like practically. And then finally, it's our greatest privilege. Worship is our privilege. The most exciting and amazing thing to do. So the idea is you'd give that talk 25 minutes looking at some of these key themes, and we've got lots of biblical stuff as well as hopefully helpful illustrations, and people might put in their own stories. So that's the first session. Why is worship central? Second session is Encounter God. And if you just pull up those notes, this is based around 6 sort of foundational values that if we want to be to build healthy worship in our church, then what is it about? What are the foundations we're building upon? And so it's kind of 6 biblical foundations, and we've worked it out so it spells Christ.
Took us a long time.
Well, do you know what?
What?
The first time I did this, I did it at an event in lots of international folk, a lot from China, and I had it spelling out China.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then we developed it. Anyway, so
Yeah.
China's great, but Christ is a little bit better. To spell it, and these are, again, less about how it's outworked practically, but more the value. So our worship is Christ-centered. Looking at the Revelation 4 stuff, the throne, Jesus at the center, what it means to be Christ-centered in our worship. Secondly, our worship is Holy Spirit-led. Again, what does that mean? The role of the Spirit in leading us in our worship, and as worshipers, how we respond to the Spirit. Secondly, worship is a response to the Father. This kind of relationship, the prodigal son, some of these images. And, those first 3 points, Christ-centered, Holy Spirit-led, a response to the Father, really it's looking at the Trinity, this kind of the foundation of our worship, that we're caught up into this living relationship. Fourth thing is that worship involves intimacy. It's, the proskuneo, the most, the Greek word used most regularly in the New Testament for worship, meaning to come towards, to kiss, to bow down, to pay homage. What does intimacy look like? And then service, the idea of the importance of serving God's story, serving God's people as leaders. And then finally, that worship will always lead to transformation. And looking a bit at evangelism, justice, worship, how all of these things hang together. So Christ, that's Encounter God. And then the third session is leading worship. And this is where we perhaps get a little bit more practical. And we've looked at 3 questions and 3 kind of stages of leading worship. And in this, really, we're looking as well that I wonder that sometimes there's a danger that we view the person with an acoustic guitar, standing up, singing, that's the worship leader. And then everyone else are just musicians, anyone can play music. But actually to really change the culture of our teams, to see that all of us are worship leaders. The drummer, he or she, in the way that they drum and the rhythms and the kind of dynamics, they can impact and affect a time of worship as much sometimes as a leader with a guitar. And the singers, how they're visibly and physically kind of modeling and leading in our worship. So that actually we're seeing worship as the whole, worship leaders as our whole team. So looking at how do we prepare in our preparation, how are we preparing, getting ourselves ready practically and spiritually to lead worship. Secondly, in the midst of a time of worship, the question to be asking ourselves is what is God doing? Where is he moving? What is he saying? What should we do next? That, yes, we've prepared, but we also are really sensitive to God's Spirit and his leading. And then finally, where are we growing? Where are we growing in our leadership, in our skills in our team? So the how, what, and where of leading worship.
So the idea, and Andrew, if we just stay there for a second on that note, you see that on the notes there, in the bottom right-hand corner, there are sort of next steps or questions for discussion. And the idea is that as your team are going through this material, the idea is that they'll be writing notes down, writing their questions, because all the time we want to bridge the gap between what the theology of worship is and the model that we see in the Bible, and actually what it means for you in your local community, in your local church, with the reality of your context. And the way to work that out is by discussion. Theology is unchanging. The Word of God doesn't change. But actually the context and the culture we are in is totally different for every single person in this room. So as teams, we need to actually not just take the kind of biblical values, but actually apply them contextually to where we are. So the bottom right-hand corner, each of these sessions. So for example, on that one, how do each of us prepare for a time of worship? What a great question as a team. Because you'll find that around the group there might be different ways and we can learn from each other. Again, how do you recharge? I remember talking with Beth Croft about this, and a while ago, Beth was interning with Worship Central. We were asking, Beth, how do you, when you've led worship, how do you recharge? And she said this brilliant thing that, when she gets really tired after leading time worship, she always books a kind of coffee with like a mate, and they'll go off to a cafe afterwards or a pub and have a kind of drink together after the Sunday service, just so she's got someone to kind of pick her up and be there and kind of, a sort of accountability and sort of a mate, when sometimes you lead worship and you feel exhausted and you've done it all day and it's, maybe not gone as well as you wanted, then you've got that discipline of always having, I found that so helpful. We can learn so much from each other discussing together. So if you go back, Andrew, to the main page. Fantastic. So this is the home page, and what we've got here, once you've logged in and registered your course, and I want to make this really clear. If you and I were to click on this website today, worshipcentral.org/course, we wouldn't be allowed to see everything, because you'll be able to see the notes. If you, Andrew, scroll over those, so that those bits there we've been clicking on. So anyone can see that, so you can see the content of the course. And then you'll be able to download the guide on the left-hand side, and we'll come back to that. But the actual talks, we want to, we've been really wrestling with this. We live in a digital age. 10 years ago, if we'd been working on a course for 5 years, logic would have dictated that we publish it, that we make it into a DVD box set and a book and a manual, and then we sell it. We put it online, and that way you can kind of control the copyright, the content, and that kind of thing. But we just felt like, we're living in such a different world, and to get this out into churches around the world, in some parts of the world where even you can't preach Jesus openly, we want to make it really accessible. So what we're doing is we're putting it all up online free, but we're going to make it so that you have to register your course before you get the kind of downloading the talks and the PowerPoints. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to know what's happening with this stuff. We want to know where it's running. So for the guys' example, in Morningside, Tom Dean there, if you guys are running this in Morningside, we'd love to know that they're running it so we can follow up. How's it going? How'd it go? Did it go well? So when you go to register, you'll be able to see in a minute, you'll be able to ask, where's your course running? Which church are you in? And when are you planning on running it? And then you have free access once you've registered to everything up there for free. Download as much as you want. Access it all for a year. So after that year, hopefully you'll run the course, and then it will expire and you have to re-register if you do another course. So we're just trying it out. It may not work, but we're going to see how it goes. Go on.
Are they going to be able to see the first session for free?
Yeah, we're hoping to do that by Monday.
Yeah.
I think we're literally, it's kind of gone live in the last 24 hours, so still lots of tweaks to do. So listen, we're going to carry on through the fourth session. Is everyone having a good time so far? Are you okay? Could you just lean over and squeeze the knee of the person to the right of you? Not not if actually don't do that. Don't do that. No.
The knee and not the thigh.
Not the thigh. Just
don't you touch my thigh.
Say hello to them. Great. Mark, do you want to fantastic. Mark, did you want to get Tim's other side?
Actually, I tell you what, Mark, just come. Do you want to?
What are you doing?
Oh, you're wearing a T-shirt.
I'm wearing a T-shirt. You're going to pull the puppet.
I was hoping he wasn't wearing a T-shirt.
One time,
exposed his chest to you.
We were leading worship in India, and it was really hot, and I was wearing this kind of cowboy shirt with poppers, and Tim, who's standing next to me on the stage in front of like 10,000 people, just quiet as he walks off, and I'm starting to lead worship, pulls my poppers. So I led the whole worship time with no vest on, just like bare-chested with my guitar. I was kind of holding my guitar. It was awful. It goes in the catalogue of things that you're going to have to ask forgiveness for before they let you into heaven. Okay, so the fourth session, releasing creativity. Now we're really excited about this. This is going to be amazing because one of the things that we hear time and time again, people ask, yeah, we know about the theology of worship, but how do we actually do it? How do we release creativity, songwriting, see our churches become cathedrals of creativity in the community? So this is releasing creativity, kind of looking at the theology of how we're created to create. The first thing, Genesis 1:1, that God does, the first action God does in the Bible, in the beginning, God created. It's a serious truth that we're made in the image of God and we're created to create. And then it goes through 4 practical steps that all of us can do in our teams to help release creativity. So 1, explore, how we can have a sense of wonder for the universe and life and how that breeds creativity. Secondly, how we express, creativity comes from the heart. how we can actually learn to express stuff together. Third, experiment, looking at writing without your instruments, some practical stuff, and basically lots of stuff on how to take risks in creativity, things that work, things that don't work, and as a way of encouraging us to just step out the boat. And we found this amazing with our team. Fourthly, evaluate. Again, how we can be really brutal with each other and create that permission where if Tim writes a song and I hear it and I say, I think that's fantastic. And we've done this, or like with my songs, you'll say, well, I think that verse could be stronger. How we kind of work together to give each other permission.
Not just the verse.
Thank you, Tim. But how, we can sharpen each other within our teams. And a lot of the time it's really hard to do that. If you've ever tried to do that, you take it to the wrong person. They're like, no, I don't think it's very good. You go away totally gutted. But actually how we can create that permission in a healthy way.
And I was just going to say, on this session, when we've piloted this course, we ran it with our worship team last year, and it was amazing, the impact. But, for example, this session, we gave the talk, and then the people got into their groups and they discussed it, thrashed it out together. And then we invited feedback. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it can be really hard work to motivate, to get your musicians excited about rehearsing and practicing and learning stuff. And they all came back saying, we love this idea of more creativity, more songwriting, just a better sense of arrangement of songs. We would love to rehearse more. Why can't we get together more as bands? And why can't we spend more time rehearsing? And so it was an idea that came out from the team. So in response to that, we did a few things. We put in more rehearsals. We started to gather much more regularly on Thursdays for songwriting and for band arrangements. And actually, a lot of the songs from the sort of Spirit Breakout album, a lot of the songs we've been doing of late, came from those sessions. But what was really exciting, and this is your dream when you're leading stuff, is it came from them, grassroots up. So they had the vision, they had the passion, they were there on time, they were giving time, they were serving, because it was them saying, we want to do this. We buy into this vision of creativity, and we're there. We'll come early, we'll give up an evening, we'll be there. So that's what our hope is, that through some of these sessions, teams can really grab hold of vision.
Fantastic. And then the next, if you look at the the questions on that, it's interesting. Go back to releasing creativity questions. Great. So you see the third one, how can we work together to release creativity, was the question we asked. And that meant all this stuff happened. So it's just really important to discuss this with our team. So next session is the effective play together, how to play together. Now we're really excited about this one. This is kind of, actually that's the wrong thing. Go back.
That's the fifth one,
Yeah, it is right. I think the title's wrong. Oh,
effective team.
Yeah, go back. If you go back, Andrew, we've spotted our first mistake. Yeah, how to play together. Look at that. Ooh. So effective. Yeah, they got them the wrong way around. Hey,
heads will roll.
Heads will roll. Yeah, no, it's good. Our heads will roll.
Yeah, you uploaded it.
Yeah. So play together. How to play together. This is kind of the band dynamics seminar nuggeted down for the team. So looking at 4 things. P-L-A-Y, the play. P is for practice. So look, that's how you practice regularly, looking at biblical foundation for training, for practice. Secondly, L for listen, how you work together. And again, everybody has different communication signals. This gives you a chance to say to your team, hey, this is how we do it. This is how we roll in Milton Keynes. When I put my foot in the air, that means double chorus. And it's going to be, whatever. A is for arranging. This gets quite technical, looking at practical things like groove, harmony, motif, musical dynamics. And then yield is, again, the thing that there is no room for ego in teamwork. We've got to be yielded to the musical goal of the team. And so that's really key, that when we're dealing with creative people, who are artists, who want to excel at what they're doing, that the musical foundation is built around yielding to one another. So that's play. And then if we go back to the effective team, comes next. This is your favorite one, isn't it?
No, I was going to say, because a band that play together, stay together. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Wow. That's amazing. Can somebody put that on Twitter, please? Can someone quote Tim there? That just, wow. Okay, inspiring stuff there. Session 5, the effective team. So this is kind of looking at, again, TEAM. We love mnemonics.
And just explain, the reason why we've done a lot of the sort of mnemonics, points, is partly, yes, we love it. But also, I think when you're encouraging resources for lots of different people to teach, it's easy to have hooks that people can hang the material upon. So that's really the reason. It helps, I think, in delivering the message. So that's why we do it.
Yeah, thank you. And also, this is like when we talk to our team now, if you're on the team at HTB, we say, remember what team stands for? So T stands for T, turn up on time. Your T, Jesus says, let your yes be yes. It's kind of reminding people that this is a holy calling and they need to make a priority of whatever your structures are. For us, it's team nights, rehearsals, services, but you can edit that to your context. Secondly, excel in everything. Psalm 33:3, sing to him a new song, play skillfully, shout for joy. We want to be the best we can be at what we do. Thirdly, attitude, significance in service, giving it away, so that as a team, we value attitude above ability. It's key that if you want to be part of our team at church here at HCV, we say you've got to have the right attitude. And then finally, membership of the church. This is the kind of Bill Hybels stuff. The local church is the hope of the world. The reason we're doing all this stuff is not to become some quasi-Christian supergroup, but actually because we want our local church to be a really strong place for people to come to know Jesus. And all of us, that's the goal. It's not to sort of somehow write songs that are going to go beyond our church. The prize is about serving the local church. That's what Jesus died for, is the local church, the bride of Christ, to rescue us. And that's what we're building. So we want to build teams that build the local church.
So that's 6 units. And then the final unit is the authentic leader. And again, we've purposefully tried to keep this material much more value-based rather than real specifics. Obviously, we're speaking out of a context of a contemporary worship church, but we do have traditional expression of worship. We have an organ, and we have 10 services on a Sunday, and 2 of them would be much more traditional, liturgical, classical. So there is an element of trying to capture some of that stuff, but a lot of the examples will be from a more contemporary setting. But we've tried to keep it value-based so that any team, whether you're sort of thrash metal or, in Morningside, you're big into your sort of jazz stuff, aren't you? So, or, whatever, classical, you can then take these values and discuss how it impacts your expression. So if you're thinking, oh gosh, well, we don't have drums, we don't have lights, this isn't going to work for me. No, we hope that this will be really helpful for you, because actually you'll be able to discuss the key values and then work out how that impacts how you express your worship through organs and choirs or acoustic guitars and all sorts of percussive things. Anyway, so this is the final session, the authentic leader, really looking at the heart. And we've based it on the 6 guitar strings. So E, examine your heart. Sorry if you lead worship from a keyboard, but there's too many notes to find.
We'll be there all night.
Yeah. So examine your heart. Basically, really a lot of the stuff we've looked at actually in our main sessions about purity, of getting right before God, of leading out of that. A, advance humbly. The importance of humility, not sort of fading away, backing away, but actually advancing, rising up, being all that we can be, but with a sense of who God is, who we are before him, how we build and encourage others up. And actually, I should have said that there's 6 points based around Jesus' teaching and Jesus' model of leadership. So D, deny yourself. Jesus calls us to not deny ourselves, and how that looks being part of a worship team, serving in a church. B, be obedient. I guess a lot about holiness, wise and good, healthy choices.
It's the G string.
The G string, sorry, the most important of strings. Al and his G-string, sorry. G-string, grow in grace. This idea of...
I got to tell you my G-string story. Can I tell you my G-string? I am... sorry, you're going there.
When I first led worship
at HCV, I am... the G-string, for some reason, it's one of the ones you break most commonly on your guitar, right? Because it's like the most... whoever it is. And I was leading worship one of the first times I led here, and I was about to lead worship, and I snapped my G-string, just like tuning out, and I ran into the vestry next door here, and all the kind of leaders of the church, Sandy Miller, who was the vicar at the time, I ran in the door, I was like, guys, has anybody got a G-string? And it was like, it was this real long moment. They all sort of like, no idea what I was talking about, and I had to kind of like, and no one got it either. And to this day, I haven't really wanted to explain to me. You thought I was talking about knickers. I wasn't. I was talking about a guitar string.
Whoa.
But
What on earth are you talking about? I am totally lost.
Let's move on.
Grown grace, this idea of that verse, it's such an amazing verse, Message translation, learn the unforced rhythms of grace, a sense of operating out of God's love and allowing His Spirit to be transforming us. And then finally, E, enjoy the adventure, this and a good ending, what a privilege, it's going to be a battle, but it's going to be an amazing and thrilling adventure. So let's give ourselves to this. So they're the 7 sessions, and we really are, you're hopefully picking this up, really, really excited. And with what could happen with this and the material, and it's been really many more years really in the making in terms of conversations, reading, sort of practicing, working in a local church, doing these sessions with teams all over the world in different contexts, working in the Catholic Church, the Pentecostal, the Anglican, all of these different streams, and actually learning what, are some of the key things when it comes to leading worship and serving in a local church. So that's why we feel this course could be a real blessing.
So the question is, who's it for? Is it just for worship leaders? At the moment, we think it's for anyone who's interested in worship. So it's the worship team primarily, but it could be your small group worship leaders come together, your whole team. For us, for example, we include the production team guys in that because we feel they're as much worship leaders as we are. And so it's really, what we do is gather all our teams together. And so it's for anybody really who's passionate about this in the local church. And then getting started really couldn't be simpler. There are 5 things you need to do. We talked about it on the DVD this morning, but really 5 steps. And we're going to talk you through those very briefly, and then we're going to show you how it kind of works online, how you download the transcripts and stuff. And then we'll have questions and time for you to input and say, have you thought about worship like this, or whatever kind of questions you have. So how do you get started? Tim, how do we get started?
Well, it's
5 things.
5 things. I thought you did the first.
Okay, do you want me to do the first?
No, I can.
Okay.
I'll give it a go.
Okay.
Well, you download the guide. Oh, it's
okay.
not there.
So
should we put it back up on the screen?
Yeah. So it's the website.
So you
over on the right, left.
You see
left.
the guide. You'll click on that.
Down the bottom on the left.
The big square under the big.
Yeah, there you
well
go.
Done.
That's it. And it's a little PDF there.
There's a big thing that says download guide. Well done. They're brilliant. So you'll download this.
Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Let's set that back up. So scroll down the page. There we go. There's the guy. Look at that.
And this will give you all the information, sort of the real practical things, in terms of, is that where you get food? Food, how to keep going. It's basically got all and we're going to be developing this as we go, but what does a session look like? How does it work? How you sort of sort it out. And it's going to be updated quite regularly. So we may have forgotten about, for example, someone said it'd be really useful to have a list of the sessions in there so we can show it to our church leader. And again, we're going to add all that stuff in. So that's the guide, and we'll be developing that over the next few weeks. Week by week, we'll be uploading new versions. The great thing about the internet is you become an instant publisher. So if you go to the bottom of that page again, Andrew, download the guide, and then bottom of the page on the first page. No, that's it, click on it, yeah. So keep going down. A little bit like when you update your software on your computer. You see the bottom hand side there? It says version 1.0. You can't see that, but basically each sort of revision will update it. You'll be able to see, so you can tell whether you got the latest one. So that's download the guide, first step. Second step, what's the second step? Secondly is you need to plan your course. And now obviously the course needs to be run by you. So you'll need to find out when you want to run it, how you want to run it. And, there can be different ways. When we did it one evening a month. Gathered the team one evening a month, ate together, did the training, group discussions, and then we'd pray for one another. But you might want to do it 7 weeks back to back, so it's kind of really get a focus. We're going to do that again with our team and think that's probably a great way of doing it. You might think, actually, why don't we go away for 2 Saturdays throughout the year. We're hearing the guys in Hong Kong, they're getting all their leaders for 2 days just to blitz it, do a weekend and run through the course. So we've
guys in Manila, say about the Philippines, they go from island to island, and the Philippines is like loads of different islands. So a team will go from one church and they'll train a bunch of churches on a remote island over one weekend, and totally amazing way of doing it. And then they'll take the training then from that island and take it to other islands. So it's kind of exciting.
So it's you can work out what's going to work best in your context. But it's your responsibility. So you need to think, when is it going to happen? Where is it going to happen? Invite your worship teams, get them on board, and make sure that they're excited about doing it.
So planning your course, secondly, really important, get your date in the diary. So if you decide we really want to run this, it'll take us a few months to sort it out, organize it. You could start in January, 20th of January, bang, put it in the diary, 7 weeks from there. Once you've got those dates, you can go back to the website. And the third thing you do is register your course. Now this is super easy. If we can do this, Andrew, you click on the register your course button. There's a whole form you fill in, name, address, blah, 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 church.
And those details are really so we can keep in touch with you and keep giving the resources.
Yeah, basically just so we can support you. We're giving this all away for free, so it's not like you have to do anything apart from keep in touch.
And you won't be getting sent like Al's calendar, or like pictures of him kind of posing different. So don't worry about that. I know some have been really quite worried.
Can you just iterate that's a joke? Because people aren't laughing and I'm really worried they're thinking I have a calendar.
What?
Okay.
You do?
I don't have a calendar. Just want to clarify that for the recording now. Hey, so register your course, and it really can be easy. And registering gives you a year free access. And the idea is that we'll be updating this course as we go. So next year we'll do a second revision, so it'll be 2.0 as it were. And we'll have heard lots of feedback from you guys. We'll have lots more stories of what's going on around the world, lots of illustrations that work we could drop in there. And then next year, if you want to run it somewhere else with your team. So let's say a church takes it and they run it with their main worship team this year. And that's over 7 weeks or 7 months or have you do it. And then you think, well, it's really transformed our team. The next year they might take it and run it with their student or youth worship team. Or then they might leave it a couple of years and think, suddenly, we know that our team changes all the time. So every couple of years we're running this now to sort of a way of keeping us all on the same map and track as a team. So thirdly, register your course.
And then fourthly, you'll download the material. So you go back and you can download all the notes, the talks. You get the full transcript of the talk so that you know exactly what you can say. And the idea is along the way there'll be...
Yeah, great. So let's click on the download talk. Angie, it'd be great. So there you have a little thing. So talk, fantastic. And then scroll down. And look, if you see this, kind of keep going right the way down. This is basically the talk notes that you would give to your speaker. And it has...
So it would say, because the idea, if people are giving this talk themselves, it's got to feel like their material. And some of the illustration examples need to be from their life. So the idea would be you'd start with a personal story of how God has impacted you. So, for example, Al, when he gave this session, talks about how he became a Christian through listening to I Will Offer Up My Life and how, fell in love with God there and then. And when I did it, I talk about... going into a high security prison in Texas and leading Amazing Grace and seeing all these 500 men and some of them just weeping and overwhelmed by God and just sensing God's Spirit. So kind of a story out of your own experience that communicates this is why worship is amazing. And then you'd go in and you could teach the material. And as I said, we'll mention, keep going because there'll be bits where it's like, keep going.
So lots of juicy quotes, lots of biblical stuff.
And then keep going. There'll be a bit where it says, here we go,
insert
your story. So insert your own humorous story. So I did something stupid and said to my wife I was 99% sure I wanted to marry her, which didn't go down well. But you might have a story about, again, a relationship. So that all that thing of not giving 100%, not being committed. So we've tried to make it that you can give the talk as if it's your own and relevant to you.
And then if we go back, Angie, just if we could to the top page. Sorry, that page before, yeah.
The green, do you mean the green?
Green arrow, yeah. So, yeah, that's it, click on that. And then under there's PowerPoint. So again, you can download the PowerPoint. So let's click on the PowerPoint. That's great. So again, open, save file, open with, that's it. Let's hope this works. Is that going to work? Hey. Okay, so bring it over. And there again, you got all the notes up there, so you can click on Why is Worship Our Purpose? That's slide number 2. Slide number 2. Don't go down. No. There you go. So keep going. Just flick through that if you can.
So this will be the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, so the next slide. PowerPoint. Is that working, Angie? Can you go forward? Spacebar. Spacebar. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so basically you can scroll through it. It has all the scriptures and all that stuff. So basically just tools and tools. And over the years ahead, we're going to put up tons more resources. So it might be have video clips up there for that session. We'd love to film it, so it's like kind of just, people giving the talks as well. And it's going to be translated in lots of different languages over the years ahead. So we're excited about that.
And then the final thing is just get going, make a start. Start running with it, and we hope it will be a huge encouragement and blessing, and you can keep in touch and let us know what has happened through you running the course. You could upload your stories, and we could build this kind of network and this pool of amazing stories, illustrations that can sort of bless each other. So that's probably enough from us.